Welcome to the Greatness Together podcast. Curious minds unite. Mother-daughter conversations that delve into the heart of psychology. Thanks for joining us. So Simonne, you know how I like to give you lovely, scrumptious treats on this podcast. You know how I like to do that.
Every time.
I am bringing you another scrumptious treat, better than cheesecake, better than cookies,
No way.
better than Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips.
Ooh.
Which only you like.
Which we both like, girl. It is Mr. Mark Black. He is one of the most absolutely wonderful, kind human beings. He's a fantastic speaker, as you know, Simonne. And we had so much fun hanging out with his family years ago. Do you remember that, Simonne?
What was that? Out east?
Out east. Yeah.
Great.
So, Mark, thank you for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast.
Glad to be here.
Yourself one of the soul sisters here on our podcast.
Love it.
First dude ever other than Mark interviewed. The other Mark.
The other Mark. That's right.
My Mark.
Your primary Mark. Yeah.
My official legally married Mark. So It's just such a delight to have you with us.
I'm glad to be here. Fun.
So our listeners may not know this super fun, fascinating fact, and that is you are the lucky recipient of. What organ did you decide to procure from one of your siblings recently?
A new kidney.
A new kidney.
Oh, new to me. Yeah.
Yeah, new to you. Yeah. I have to say, let's give a shout out to your amazing brother who donated a kidney to you.
Yeah, Neil is amazing. I have to credit where it's due. All three of my brothers were willing to be tested, and two of them were a match, and then we kind of did an awkward conversation to decide which of the two was going to be the one that donated, but the spirit was willing in all three. So.
I love it. So it wasn't a rock, paper, scissors who...
No, it wasn't. No, it was... Neil was particularly passionate about it, and so we ended up deciding that he would donate, and that the other brother who was a match would be his backup because now he has one kidney, so if God forbid something happens to his kidney, he has a backup plan. So
I mean, that is the beauty of family, which again is such a fantastic connection to being on our family's podcast here. Yeah. And this is not your first transplant that you've had. For our listeners, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your context, your story there, and then we can jump right into why you are the perfect person to be talking to the world about resiliency.
Sure. So, okay. Well, so I'll go all the way back to the beginning, but I promise it won't take too long. So I was born with a congenital heart defect. I had open heart surgery at hours old. I was taken by helicopter from Moncton, where I was born, to Halifax, where the Children's Hospital is. My 24-year-old parents watched out the window as their baby was put on a helicopter, and like, as a parent of three kids, I can't even wrap my head around all of that. I had two surgeries before my first birthday, and then ultimately when I was 24, my heart was failing at a level where doctors said, there's really nothing else we can do. It's also now affecting your lungs and the pulmonary artery pressure in your lungs. And so the only real solution is to get a heart and double lung transplant. So I was put on the transplant list in September or October, I guess, of 2001. And it was transplanted basically a year later in September of 2002. So it'll be coming up on 24 years, which is amazing because they said at that time they had like kind of 50-50 odds to make it for 5 or 6 years. So amazing that it's lasted this long. And they also warned us at that time that if I was lucky enough to live long enough, that I would eventually have issues with kidney failure because the medications you have to take to prevent rejection of the organs beat your kidneys up. And so eventually they say, we've had enough. And that happened about 2 years ago, where the first signs of kidney failure failure started, and then I was on dialysis for a year. And then I had a transplant on April 16th, so a little over 2 weeks ago.
All the while, isn't it amazing, Simone? Like, can you even imagine?
No,
Because
it's
you're
been,
not even 24 yet. Could you imagine this, like the strength and the perseverance? Like, pretend Mark's not here. Let's talk about his greatness. Pretend he's not here. Let's brag about him. What have you already heard about his greatness in our short conversation with him?
a fighter, a braverness,
Braver, yep, 100%. That's the word.
courager, more of a fighter,
Yeah.
and humble. Like
Mm.
you're not like, oh, I've been through this when I was this month old, this happened. It's like, psh, yeah, and look at me now. It's like you're very humble about it. It's a very scary thing to have happened, and you've been through a lot, but no, it's a walk in the park apparently.
Yeah. No, it's not a walk in the park, but at the same time, it is very much like I have gotten to a place of, yeah, we've all got stuff. Everybody's got to walk through their stuff. And the less we can resist it, the easier I've found it to be to deal with.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of why I thought this would be just such a great conversation, because every time, as you were sharing so generously with the world what you were going through, dialysis, and obviously you share your story on the stage. My kids, so Simonne and Justin, you came and you presented at their school years ago. I've had the privilege of hearing you many times. You're one of less than 70 of us in the world, in Canada, with certified speaking professional designation and earned designation. So, many hundreds of people have heard your story through this on the stage. Yeah. So I know that this is something you're used to sharing, and there's a difference between sharing your story and having made peace with, I think, a constantly shifting reality. And it's kind of like, I think, what you were getting at, Simone, around like perspective and I have to say, Mark, when I started to reach out to you, say like, is there anything I could do? Or like, I am so impressed with you. Like, you're handling this so well with your transplant coming up. Every time you've replied back with like, just a non-victim, I don't even want to be dramatic about it. It was just, you were very at peace about it. You were very, you weren't like matter of fact. I don't even quite know how to describe it. Like, this is just my path, basically. Tell me about your perspective on, I don't know, on your life, on your, have you always been able to come to terms with this? Is this like a maturity thing? Basically deconstruct your entire being so that we could all emulate it. If you wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, well, so have I always been this way? No, I don't. I think I'm learning. I'm hopefully getting wiser as I get older. I did not come to a place of immediate acceptance 24 years ago when I was told I needed a transplant the first time around. It was a much more angst-ridden journey. I was hospitalized for the last 6 months of that year before that transplant, and that was a really transformational time for me, because you're forced to kind of deal with your emotions and face, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in a little hospital room. There's only so many distractions that you can access, right? And so I think for a lot of us, I'll speak personally, it's very easy to kind of distract yourself from whatever might be bothering you in 2026 with all of the gadgets and devices and entertainment and. But in 2001, 2002, in a hospital room, that wasn't nearly as available. And so I was kind of forced to deal with a lot of things. And the kind of big things that came out of that were understanding at a deeper level how little control we all have over life in general.
Yes.
Um, that a lot of the control we think we have is pretty illusionary, and we're all kind of a couple of bad breaks away from having to deal with some really hard things. And at the same time, we have the capacity to deal with those hard things, and that a lot of the a lot of what makes that difficult is the fact that we think it's not supposed to happen to us. Like we just have this default that things are supposed to go the way we plan them. And if we can kind of shift our mind to realize bad things happen to good people or bad things happen to everybody or whatever, life happens. Um, and maybe even not bad things, maybe even reserving judgment about whether it's good or bad. Uh,
Mm.
it starts to get easier to cope with those things. And you can get to if you think about it, it's like this, it's not dissimilar from kind of stages of grief, that whole idea of like, we go through these steps of like bargaining and denial and all those things. You can kind of fast track the steps if you can get to a place of just going, okay, I don't have to like it. I just have to face the fact that it is. And then I can get with the business of dealing with it in a more proactive way.
Yeah. Oh my God. The concept of I have so much less in control than I actually think that I do. Hey, Simone, like, doesn't that really land? Like like, what is it about that human beings need to feel like they have so much control over the world? I just,
Yeah, and and conversely, what I've found at least is that when we hold on really tight and we try and control, as long as things are going okay, that kind of works. But as soon as things aren't, then we feel so out of control and so stressed and so powerless and all of that stuff that it amplifies the degree of difficulty of whatever it is we're dealing with. Whereas if we can make peace with the fact that, yeah, there's parts of this I control, and I'm going to do what I can, at the same time, I probably don't control the outcome. I probably don't control a lot of the variables. And the more I can let that go, the more energy I preserve, mental space I preserve, emotional energy I preserve to deal with the things that I can deal with.
Yeah, no, I think we've spoken about this before as well on the podcast, and I think Mom and I talk about this a lot, or at least when I was present in the country.
when you had left me for another country. Yeah.
Um, but it's true, like a lot of the times where everybody's so stressed about X, Y, Z, and they're trying to plan 10 years in the future, and but at the same time, like stay above water where they are in the present, and they're just trying to control everything in their lives. But I think it's so important to take a step back and really see, yes, this thing might be stressful, and yes, I'm unsure about it, but there's only like out of 10 things in this situation, there's only like 8 things I can control, so I'm going to focus on those 8 and then leave the 2 or whatever to be. But I've never really looked at it from like a medical perspective. I think that's very interesting and really, really relevant. But I was wondering, how has this like changed your perspective on your like day-to-day life? Like I know for myself, I've been away all year, and so it's really been opening like my perspective on how I want to live my life like when I'm back home. I grew up in Canada my whole entire life, but this is the first year where I've been away for like the whole year. So I've been able to like take a step back and look at my home from a different eye, and I'm like, oh, when I'm back, I'm going to be doing this and this and this and all this with my days, and I only have this much time here, so I'm going to do this. But I know so many people aren't fortunate enough to get this type of perspective because they stay like their whole life somewhere else. But we are kind of like, I'm looking at this from like a being out of the country perspective, but you've had the experience of experiencing it from like a medical perspective. I was wondering if that has, I don't know, kind of changed your mindset on your day-to-day like life fulfillment, fillingnesses,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a great question, and I like the analogy because I think you're right. There's a lot of crossover, a lot of similarities. Like you would be dealing with, for different reasons, a lot of the same things, right? In terms of like unpredictability and exposure to new things and not being sure how to react to certain things and
Mm.
navigating things without all of the resources you're used to having and all of that stuff. Um, so yeah, how's it? I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was, and again, this goes back to the first transplant, and I've just really kind of carried it with me ever since, and to the point that like I have the tattoo that says "Live
Oh,
Today" on my arm, and it's this kind of like philosophy that's I'm gonna live this day as best as I can, and I'm gonna try and let yesterday and tomorrow kind of figure themselves out, and it's not, and I talk about this in presentations sometimes. It's not a YOLO like live every day like it's your last day thing either. I've tried that; it's really hard to maintain.
Interesting.
Yeah, like things just don't get done and taxes don't get paid when you're living every day like the last day. Like, right? You can only
True.
skydive, you can only skydive so many times. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's only so much of that stuff you can do.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah,
That's so good.
but at the
Yes.
same time, there are a lot of people who are living life for the anticipation of the day someday when they're going
mm-hmm.
to get to do all the stuff they want to do. And I am very aware that like that's not a day that's promised to anybody. So let's start doing that stuff now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I saw this analogy, a video, and it was this guy explaining, like, what would you do if one morning you woke up and you got like 84,000 blah 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 80, yeah, 84,000, three zeros. I'm like dyslexic when it comes to numbers.
You
Anyways,
got it. $84,000?
84,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you can spend it, like you can spend all the money, and then the next day you have zero. And then the next day you wake up 84,000, next day zero. And it's like, if you know the next day you're gonna have nothing, like what are you gonna do to spend all the money on the first day? Like, are you gonna waste it? No, because like it's available to you and you know it's not going to be there the next day. And then he's like, what if I tell you there's 84,000 minutes in a day and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, maybe tomorrow you're not going to have anything. Like, how are you going to spend today? You understand?
Ooh, that was a bit of a plot twist.
Yeah.
I was like, first I
Oh,
thought you were going to introduce us to this guy who's giving out $84,000 every other day. I would be fine with every other, I'd be even fine with once a week.
yeah.
But then you're like, plot twist, no, it's actually the currency is money.
Yeah, there's like 84,000 minutes in a day or something. So, like,
Wow.
spend them all.
Yeah.
But
Live today. Exactly. Your 84, what do you choose to do with your 84,000 minutes a day?
half of them sleep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely,
Good
for
thing.
sure. So that the other half of the 84,000 minutes, so the 442,000 minutes, everyone's happier that you spend half of them sleeping. Because let's face it, a rested person is a much nicer, happier person, everybody, not just yourself. But I mean, it's a good kind of way of that person saying it like that. I mean, does that resonate for you, Mark? Like, yeah, I want to live all of my 84,000 minutes like they count really intentionally. Is that how you would describe it? Is it about intentional, or
Definitely about
how would you describe
yeah,
it?
definitely about intentionality and about balance and about um, seizing opportunities and not being as afraid to fail. Uh, like when you start to have that like not morbid, but just that perspective of like life is finite. At some point, it's gonna end for all of us, and like depending on your belief system, once it's over, it's over. Like, so who cares if I fall on my face? Like, who cares if I try something that doesn't work? And also, let's not wait to do it if I really want to do it because I don't know that I'm gonna have the time I plan to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so how have you built your failure muscles? Like, I mean, because I guess what I'm curious about is transitioning between knowing it, and obviously you've had the reality of feeling it in a way that most people haven't.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, somebody were coming to you, they've heard you speak and they're very inspired, because that always happens, and they say, so I want to do that. I've never had the health crisis, and I hear you. I never know what's coming down the path, and so I want to be more ready. What can I do to be more ready today? Is it that I have to fail more? Is it something else? Like, what? I'm sure people ask you that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that give them a few ideas. I mean, I think I like the idea of a bucket list or of some form of like, what are some things you want to experience? What are some things you want to do? What are some places you want to go? Um, what's something you've always wanted to try that you've never tried for whatever reason? What are the things, like, if you can do the mental exercise to fast forward to the end of your life and think about if that were tomorrow, what are the things you would regret? Studies show that the regrets people have are generally around things they didn't do versus things they did that they wish they hadn't. We all make mistakes, but like by and large, the things that people kind of have regrets about at the end are not the things they screwed up. It's the things that they wish they had done that they didn't get around to. So like, what are those things so that you can start not like, I need to jam them all into tomorrow, but like, let's start plugging away at them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that you are a failure king, a bit more of a failure king? Like, do you kind of feel like you
I mean, yeah,
probably,
I'm pretty shameless when it comes to like, yeah, I mean, I'll just try stuff. Part of that I think comes from um, two parents who were phys ed teachers, so we were all thrown into sport very young, and I was ultra competitive, but also ultra small. Right, as an adult, I'm 4'11" and 110 pounds, so I was like always the smallest kid in my class, the smallest kid on the field, smallest kid on the court. Um, and so the desire was there, but the physical ability was often not there. The skill was often there, but the physical strength and height required to execute at a high level was not there. And so I got pretty good at like kind of having my own bar to meet as opposed to trying to be better than anybody else because that often wasn't practical. And so I think I probably got practice at like, maybe not failure, but certainly like failure when compared to other people. And so I just kind of learned to detach a little bit from, we all still do, don't get me wrong, I still watch other speakers' videos and go, that's amazing, I need to do that. But I think I'm better at it than I was in terms of like, that's their path, this is mine. If I'm going to compare, it's going to be to the the version of me a year ago, as opposed to somebody else.
yeah. That's such great advice. And I'm sure, Simonne, you've had that perspective too, because again, you have these almost chapters of your life. The version of you before you went on your first exchange, the version of you before you went on a work term away, the version of you before this most recent, like you almost have like more, like just like you, Mark, you've got health chapters and other cool chapters in your life too, right? Before you're a parent, since you're a parent, before speaking, now speaking. So I think it's a really interesting, and I think you were getting at this question earlier, Simonne, like the concept of perspective, whatever that perspective is, how do you use it as your own reference point, like before and after? And I love what you just said about it's your own, like compare it to your own journey, your own progress. Oh man, that is like, I feel like I'm only just in the last probably couple of years figuring that out.
Yeah, same. I mean, maybe it's the decade of life or the phase of life
Mm-hmm.
where it just gets a little easier to just say, I don't need to compete with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think for me, it was also, I've also had moments, and I bet you can relate to this too, where, when you're goal oriented, as we all are, and then you reach the goal and go, is that it?
Right.
Right? Like,
Yes.
this isn't as amazing as I thought it would be, or like,
Right.
this isn't, um, yeah, I still don't feel like I'm enough. Uh, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not about what I accomplished. Like maybe being enough is not really about how many boxes I tick.
Mm.
Yeah, because that's another whole thing. Is like when you can, it's. I still think having goals is a great thing, but it can very easily become a box checking exercise to make us feel good enough. And if you get into that trap, then there's like always another box to check. Like we never really get there.
Mhm. What's showing up for me, and I'm curious if it is in your psychology brains, Simone, is it's almost like you've described when you're your own internal compass. That's that, yeah, you're like, am I better than I was last year, a year from now? Am I living the life today? That means like I'm living a life today versus the external, the comparison, the box checking is external reinforcement. Simone, like you and I have had so many conversations about this on the pod, off the pod, about the importance of continually coming back to your own intrinsic motivators, your own intrinsic goals, your own in like what is true for you. And I feel like that's the game of life, really, is to constantly be saying like, is this for me? Is this right for me? Is this external expectations? If so, is it society? Is it like Simone having inherited something from her high achieving mother and she's got to shake that off? And sorry, Simone, there's no money left for therapy. You're going to have to bankroll that yourself. So, because you've been had a lot of expenses this year, so we were just taking all the money that we were going to spend on therapy to fix yourself from us, and we just channeled it into you having a house to stay in when you're in Europe. So,
It's
but
okay.
if you become a psychologist, you're going to get free therapy from
There
each
you go.
other as part of the study. So just keep
Yeah.
going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, right? Like we have to kind of figure out and navigate for ourselves, what do I want and who am I, in the context of all kinds of factors that are external to us, and who knows where the heck we pick these things up. Yeah, and Simone, I do know some of them are for me, and sorry,
One of them.
one of them,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's fascinating, Mark, how you shared how, yeah, you're like you fail more, you try more. It's like live for today, and also saying, yeah, and I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm like, that just, if everyone, me included, everyone listening, if they did not go, oh my God, phew, I just get a chance to give myself a break. Well,
Yeah.
if everything he's been through, he still sometimes feels like, am I enough? Despite how adjusted he is and how perspective he has on the day to day. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're deluding ourselves if we think if any of us thinks we have it all figured out. And um, yeah, I don't know. It's very easy, especially with these things and social media, to
Right.
get into the comparison trap and to feel like there's always another mountain to climb. And like again, I don't think there's anything wrong with climbing the next metaphorical mountain as long as it's for the right reasons.
Right. Right.
I think also um, this kind of goes, you can relate this back to the whole like comparison thing and the control thing. Like, yes, there's always going to be more boxes or more hurdles, but um, even doing things like making that bucket list or just like writing down a to-do list for the day, I think is a really good way maybe to combat that. Like, I don't know, even for me, I found that last semester when I was in my other exchange, I would always do the whole comparison, um, uncontrolly thingy. And then coming here, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a list of everything I want to do. And yes, I might see like Instagram posts of people I meet here being in 1,004 different countries, but that's okay. I'm not going to compare myself to them. I'm just going to visit the countries on my list and do the things around the city that I want to do, and because that's what I have control over, specifically how much money's in the bank and what will pay for that. But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Mhm.
there's there will always be more, and there will always be other people to compare yourself to, but it really comes down to how satisfied you are at the end of the day. And I mean, Mom, you've said this to us like all during our childhood, but like never compare yourself to someone's middle.
Yeah. Never compare your beginning to somebody else's middle.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's true. It's
exactly.
Yeah, no, yeah, I love that. Oh, and also don't compare your whole picture to somebody else's highlight reel.
Right.
true.
You
Yeah.
know, we often look at the. I got a conversation with someone just the other day about about someone else that we both know, who we follow and I see on social media all the time, and but you're seeing a sliver of that world, and this other person I was talking to had a much bigger insight into that person's world. He's like, here's what you're not seeing, because they're not posting this, or this, or this, or this, or this. And I was like, understand that if you want the part you're seeing, it comes with all this other stuff. So do you really want that? Or do you just think you want it because you're seeing the best parts?
Right. Yeah. I know. And that's where just a silly example is one of the choices I had to make early on was, did I want to keep going through acting? So I graduated from a performing arts school. And honestly, the number one reason why I never pursued it, the number one reason is that it wasn't that I thought I would be one of the millions who would go to Hollywood and not make it. It was, who would want that life? Like, so what does making it look like? You have no privacy. You don't know if if friends actually really care about you. You're having to constantly compromise what you're comfortable with, like taking off your clothes for the camera, or like playing roles of people that you think are terrible. People, like, you have to like epitomize that character. I like auditioned what would success look like and go, no, thank you. So let me then try the starving artist where you have really cool parts on the stage. I'm like, no, I don't want that life either. Let's become a psychologist instead. You know, I was like, like, I wonder if I could have something that fits what actually would probably be more likely to bring me joy. But, you know, I never really thought about this life that we live in now as a speaker. And I was like, so it's funny how when we don't look broadly enough about what do I want, like really I there was this very specific narrow window of options, and I didn't go like, if I could design my life and build exactly what I wanted, I'm sure speaking would have been on the list. But we weren't encouraged, and I don't know if you guys are encouraged now, Simonne, I'm not quite sure, of beginning like, imagine there were no limits. What would you do? I don't know if I've asked you that question because I'm probably afraid what you would choose and you'd never come home. But like, that's the kind of thinking, right? Is at any point in our lives, imagine if there were no limits and you could have the kind of life that it brought the best out of you, and you were able to have your 84,000 minutes in the most enriching, fulfilling, while also still paying your taxes way. What would that look like? I have to say, when I ask myself that question, some version of that, I'm going to ask myself a much more articulate question as a result of this podcast. So thank you to you both. when I do reflect on that type of question, it's amazing how much more grateful I feel about my life. Because I'll be like, wow, so today it's a sunny day and I get to speak with two of my favorite people, and then I get to have dinner with one of my other favorite people. And I am safe and I'm doing work that I love. And I was traveling last week, but this week I get to be home. And next week I get to be away again, but I had a break in between. Thank goodness that I was not so book solid that I didn't even get home in between. So now all of a sudden I'm thrilled that I'm not like the most booked speaker in all of Canada. Thank you, universe, for not giving me more than I can handle.
Love that. Yeah, I think that's something that we're trying to get to talk about with our kids too when it comes to thinking about careers, is understanding the day-to-day reality. Like, what will you spend the majority of your time doing in that job versus what is your impression of what the job is about? Because for many people, if you've never done it, your idea of what it looks like and what it actually looks like day to day are probably quite different.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I remember I was going to be a teacher, and my picture of what that was like Mr. Holland's Opus and Dead Poet Society. Like, that was teaching. And then I got into a classroom and realized that's like a couple of moments a month you might have a little glimmer of that. And most of it is like lesson planning and marking and like kids that are late and misbehaving and you have to be able to like at least make peace with, if not learn to love, the kind of mundane day-to-day things as much as the highlights, or it's going to be like, living 80% of life for the 20% that you enjoy.
Right.
Seems like a good deal to me.
Right. Do you kind of think about that, Simonne, when you're making your big decisions or big reflections? I guess you're not even, I think you're very grounded about not having to have it all figured out. It seems to me like you're much more like, this is the path I'm on, but I don't have to have it all figured out right away. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
I mean, I don't worry about it as much as like even like my friends here do, but also they're finishing their degree. But the difference is that I absolutely love like every part of what I study in psychology, and they are now having their doubts. So I'm like, at least I know psychology goes into 5,004 places.
Yeah.
Well, theirs is quite specified, and also they don't like it. But I mean,
That combination for joy. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to be chill and like go with the flow, but also making sure that you are in like the vicinity of your path at all. Like you might not have to have it figured out, but at least have a rough idea, which I do.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that sort of goes back to that concept around how much control do you have. If you don't put any parameters on trying to be in the vicinity, I like that, in the vicinity, then it's almost like you're giving over control to the universe, like you're operating completely outside. That's that YOLO, I guess, maybe that's where that comes in. It's like, I'm just gonna go wherever the moment takes me. And by the 10th time you jump out of an airplane, you're like, this cost me a ton of money and I actually really hate heights.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Took a while to figure that out.
And it's got me no closer to like figuring out who I am.
Right.
I want to ask you, in this scrumptious book here, Resilience Roadmap. So anyone who's not read this, and if you, I mean, I'm sure that folks are like, how can I package him and bring him home, like, and talk to all my teenagers and all the people and maybe myself, and like come into my workplace and help me figure all the things out. So definitely, like, Mark Black, or I am Mark Black on social. So people can find you pretty easily. And this is your one of many, a few great books that you have. Tell me, what do you think, based on our conversation, what chapters probably are most relevant for people to go to and dig into first? If they've had this book and they need to brush it off and read it again, which sections should they go to right off?
So the framework has 7 steps. The 2 that I think are the most essential and also that we've touched on today, I think, are the chapter on acceptance, and then there's a chapter on adaptation or adaptability. So acceptance comes first, right? So we figure out what we need to let go of so that we can free up mental and emotional time and energy to then devote to the things that we can control. And then we take those things that we can control and we adapt ourselves to the new reality, right? So we say, okay, things have changed and this is happening on a cyclical, like on a cycle all the time, right? So I always say, like, I present this framework in a linear way so that we can understand it, but it really should be a circle because it never ends. Like, we're always dealing with a new challenge and we go back and start all over again. But we get to this place where we go, okay, the reality has changed, whatever that is. COVID happens, or AI starts to take over the world, or like whatever it is, and there'll be something else. What has changed? How does that affect me? And what can I do to be more effective in this new reality? Right? So what ways of behaving, what ways of thinking, what am I maybe overly attached to that I need to let go of? What do I need to learn so that I can be more effective in this new world? So, like, Sarah, you and I, in our world, it's like AI everything. All the training is all around, like, AI this, AI that. And I see sort of two camps, if you like, of people. That there are those who are just like, not for me, it's super artificial, I don't like it, like, I'm not doing it. And then people who are like fully engrossed and I need to do all of it. And I, like most things, I think there's the healthy path is somewhere in between.
Right. Yeah.
Saying, like, personally, I think that there's going to be a lot of great things that come from it. There's going to be some big challenges that come from it. And we need to figure out how to adapt to it and adapt with it while preserving our humanity at the same time. But, like, ignoring it is not a viable option, I don't think.
Yeah.
And so that's, like, just one of many examples of, like, how our world is constantly is asking us to adapt to new ways of doing things.
Well, you mentioned with your dialysis, how you've had to be on dialysis for a year. I'm sure the year before that, if somebody had said, I need you to give up a couple times a week, a couple hours a day, where you probably be like, I don't have that kind of time. It's funny how when your body needs you to, you find the time. Yeah.
12 hours a week that I was plugged into a machine.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I went into it with, oh, okay, well, so that's 12 hours of, like, forced focus time. Like, I'm just going to bring my laptop and I'll write a book or something. And then you realize, oh, no, like, this is really taxing on the body and you're not really going to be able to focus that well. And then afterwards, you're going to be tired and often have to have a nap and you're going to have to listen to your body or deal with the consequences. And so, yeah, there was a whole lot of adapting to, like, what can I do? What do I have the capacity for? What do I have to let go of and create a new version of normal? And also not necessarily just letting go, or giving up on things just because, oh, I'm on dialysis, so that means I can't automatically.
Not a victim. Acceptance doesn't mean like, well, just give up, give in.
Right. Like, so there were many people who were, like, shocked that I was traveling and speaking while on dialysis. And I was like, it's just a logistics issue. Like, I need to have dialysis 3 times a week. As long as I do it before or after or where I am. Like, yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a solvable problem. You can figure it out. Right. And so one of my favorite quotes is Marie Forleo. She's the coach in the US, and she has this phrase with a made up word. She says, everything is figure outable. I just love that, because if you have that mindset, then the vast majority of the time, yeah, there's a solution to every problem.
Yeah. Well, and the next time I feel like that is so, oh my God, how am I going to figure that out? I'm going to be like, well, I mean, Mark managed to do it, have dialysis on the road. You can figure out how to get an Uber from the airport at midnight because your flight was delayed. I mean, it's not like you're late for dialysis, Sarah. So just have some perspective, so thank you for that. Simone and I will be able to use that as an important reference point
There you
in
go.
our life. So thank you. All right, so acceptance, and you said adaptation?
Adaptability. Yeah, I just think
Yeah.
I think that maybe most like if I was pressed on the what I think is the most important skill to be honing and developing for all of us in general, I think that's it. Like how effective can you be at changing on the fly?
Right.
How flexible can you be mentally and emotionally? Because things are like changing at a rapid pace, and they're going to continue. The pace of change is only going to get faster.
Yeah.
So the people who are willing and able to adapt more quickly are going to have an advantage, and the people who are trying desperately to hang on to the way we've always done it are going to struggle more.
It might be a blackberry, and if anyone's like, what does a fruit have to do with it? It's probably because you're too young to remember when before we had the iPhone, the holy grail was a blackberry. If you had a blackberry, you knew you had professionally made it. I owned a blackberry. I was super proud until all of a sudden the iPhone came along. And the blackberry, by research in motion, Canadian superpower at one time, they said nobody is going to want to use their phone and touch the screen of their phone as a keyboard. They had the technology, but they were like, no, we don't need to change. Well, if you're thinking, but blackberry's a fruit, no. Here, but go and Google BlackBerry Technology Company, and you will find the 2 employees left have to maintain that website, and there's a whole lot of history that it was like the best.
Yeah, there's a great like kind of sort of documentary, sort of dramatization movie about that exact story. It's pretty good.
The lack of adaptability killed their company. Yeah. And killed 30,000 jobs or some huge amount with it. Yeah. Yeah. So the framework, so acknowledgement, agency, acceptance, adaptation, aspiration, action, assessment. It's a great book. Highly recommend it. I've told many people about it. It is literally on my Sarah McVanel author page as one of the recommended books. I'm going to put it back up to the top so that people grab it. And I'm sure people will be extra inspired because you live your message. I mean, we've talked so much about all 7 of those elements in this conversation. And see, one of the best compliments that I ever get, and I'm going to give it to you now because I truly mean this, is you are your message. You are what you espouse on the stage, what you stand for, you live for. And you live it. And I mean, literally what you've tattooed on your arm is you're like, so this is my operator's manual. So this is what you get. So I so value that in you, in an industry where it's very easy to just have really good copy and some good demos and get yourself on the stage, but it's not necessarily who you are. You are so who you are. And I hope you're so proud of who you are because we adore who you are, don't we, Simone?
Well, thank you. I would reflect that right back to you because, like, having watched you in action again last week and having seen you do your work more than once, and been on the receiving end of your recognition, yeah, you do the same. And I agree with you. I think that's the highest compliment you can have in our industry. Is we've unfortunately all had incidents where we've met people who are very different off the stage than they are on. Thankfully pretty rarely, but certainly it's happened. And my number one goal is that it's a seamless transition between a discussion like this and what I do on the stage. And that if you were to follow me around with a camera for 24 hours, you'd see mostly behavior that aligns with what I talk about.
Yeah, mostly. I love it because we're not perfect. We're not perfect.
No, you can do another podcast with my wife and find out all the ways in which I'm not perfect. But
yes. Yeah. Well, Simone will be able to tell all of our listeners what my imperfections are too. If we're enough money.
0.
So Simone, what have you learned? What are you pulling from this beautiful conversation? I always
Um,
put Simone on the
I
spot
was
with
just gonna
this.
say, not to put you on the
This
spot or
is
anything.
still a lengthy conversation where we meandered so many important concepts and topics with a beautiful, human here. We don't interview a lot of people, so just saying, Mark, like
I'm honored.
this is how much we adore you that we had to have time with you because
Mhm.
normally these are mother-daughter conversations, but we want it to be mother, daughter, and soul brother conversation today. So I always put Simone on the spot. You'd think she'd know that I always put her on the spot, but I'm gonna have to remind her that spot putting is what happens all the time.
I
No,
love
Simone,
it.
I'm just curious. No pressure. What stood out most for you? What really resonated?
I mean, definitely perspective because
Mm,
I've never experienced serious medical issues.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, and also just like how you hold yourself and how you like express yourself. Like I feel like I am kind of a complainer.
You
Like
are?
I
Oh.
mean, yeah, but maybe it's a lack of prefrontal cortex thing.
Oh
But
yeah.
like I feel like if I just went through transplant surgery, I would be like, this is wrong and this is wrong, and I hate that this happened. And blah, 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 blah. But I mean,
You never
you,
know until you're in it, Simone. I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be speaking from experience, but I've heard from I'm an experienced. Um, no, but I mean, really, just counting your blessings and what you have around you is really the key to. I mean, Mom gave me this note at the start of the year, and it's taped on my wall. It says, "When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around." And it's a quote
Mm.
by Willie Nelson. And I try to live by it as much as I can. But I gotta fit in a couple complaints and then get to
Well,
the
we're all human.
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So really, just um, yeah, counting what you have, counting your blessings.
yeah.
And what about you, Mom? Key
I
takeaways.
love that counting your blessings. I am serious when I say the next time I'm like frustrated by my circumstance of something that really I'm trying too hard to control or that I wish I could control it, I am going to remember what you shared around your experience with dialysis and said, well, I mean, everything's figure outable. So if you have this important speaking event, you would do dialysis in another place. I mean, I'm like, literally, I can't not figure out everything. If you can do that and keep a vibrant speaking business going, and in the midst of a very busy speaking season, literally have the transplant surgery. And by the way, Simone, here's a fun plot twist. Mark is also right now running for a city councilor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I drove by his signs last week in beautiful Moncton. I'm like, Mark's on a sign. Sure enough, all over his
My children are
Facebook.
thrilled about that, by the way, let me tell you.
I'm,
Yeah.
Uh,
but you're like, of course it's figure outable. I mean, come on. I'm literally being bionically rebuilt with like the best, like I'm crowdsourcing now the best organs from my family. I mean, how can I not win this race? No, I mean, I'm being silly, but I just mean like that is what I'm taking from this conversation is you don't let something roadblock, like if you want to do it and it's important to you, you're going to do it.
that was totally the thought process behind that was full awareness that the timing was horrible, but the wider timing was right. In other words, like from a phase of life perspective, this is the time to do it. Kids are older. I still have good energy, all of those kinds of things. So I was like, I'm not gonna make a 4-year decision based on a 1-month window where it's gonna be tougher. I'm gonna take like the longer term view and go, yeah, I think it's the right time to do it. And so, and the kind of compromises I will have to make are are during the campaign, not during the time where I'm actually serving the people of our city. So like, if anybody loses, I lose in the campaign part, which so be it. So I've had to do things like I'm not going door to door because I'm immunocompromised more than usual right now. So that's an infection risk that doesn't make sense. So I'm leveraging social media and doing other things instead. But yeah, no, it's something I kind of always wanted to do. So we'll figure it out. It'll look different. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe you'll invent the entire new epic strategy because who the heck wants to answer their door
There's that.
anymore? Literally, everyone's like, what was that noise? Somebody's knocking on the door. What do you mean? Nobody ever knocks on the door. Nobody does that anymore. So maybe you're going to reinvent the new way in which to get elected, and you're going to be able to like be a professional speaker on that, and
There you go. New campaign strategy.
new campaign strategy.
Yeah.
Sweep the
Well,
nation.
there's no question that, like, you did a video that got like, I don't know, 30,000 views or something like that, and for me to talk to 30,000 people at their door would take months. So
There you go.
yeah.
And what about you, Mark? What are you taking most from this conversation?
Well, first of all, I'm jealous because I don't think there's enough money to pay my 17-year-old daughter Emma to do a podcast with me.
Yet. She will in a few years. I don't think Simone would have done this at 17. Would you have, Simone?
Congratulations.
No, thank
Yeah.
you.
No,
But thank
okay, it's coming. All right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I always appreciate time spent with you, and having good conversations with good people is fun. And yeah, yeah, I don't have any big ahas other than I think we're all kind of in agreement that having a little wider perspective on things, being appreciative of the things that you already have, like taking time in a world and a mindset of like always looking ahead to what's next, taking the time every once in a while to look back and see how far you've come, is really, really valuable.
Yeah. There you go. That's the mic drop moment right there. Hey, Simone, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, let's drop the mic. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I did it too early.
That was awesome. Very coordinated too. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time with us. We're just so grateful that you spent it with us. We're thrilled how well you're doing. How many days post transplant?
We are like 18 days, 17, 18 days. Yeah.
Wowza.
No, I'm thrilled too. Very surprised, excited, all of the above.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking forward to celebrating you when you are your elected city councilor, when you are on the road and not having to be doing dialysis, when your daughter and you start your podcast together in a few years, or maybe the whole family together.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're just so thrilled for your continued success. The world really needs to continue to hear from real people who are role models, who show up with humility and with grace and with greatness, because you're the type of person that people can say, okay, I can see something. I've never been through that, but I can relate to this person here in front of me. And I think that that's a huge gift to people, because there's lots of people we can look up to and admire, but it's really hard to see yourself when you're always looking up, and you always create spaces where you allow people to see themselves and discover who they are in what you share. So that's a gift to the world too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay! Awesome. So good. Epic conversation. And I'm delighted to have shared it with both of you.
Same here.
Yay. Well, listeners, please share some well wishes and any questions that you have for Mark, and we'll make sure to get them to him. And maybe if there's a lot of them, we need to do a part 2. And thanks for listening, listeners. We appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast. Never miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you catch your podcasts. Yours in greatness, Simonne and Sarah.